Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, as you can see by the screen, going to be basically all bracket predictions and talking about our final major of the CDL season. A little bit of news to maybe get into. It'll take a couple minutes. We want to talk about one single thing, and then it's going to be all dedicated to Brock and I's bracket predictions. We usually like to pretty much just focus on those when it's major time, because that's what everybody wants to talk about is the upcoming tournament, because we're all excited to watch that. So if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on the audio platforms, drop that follow, drop that 5-star review. We appreciate the support on there. And I'm excited to get into this one. Excited to watch our final major here before we head to champs. Got some news and stuff about champs that we'll get into a little bit. But first, Brock, how you doing today?
Oh, doing good. Good Monday. Warm out, good vibes. Ready to roll.
Yeah, let's get into it. So, first off, end of the regular season. We want to thank you guys for all the support during the course of this regular season. I mean, I didn't keep track exactly. I probably should have of growth on the channel and everything for the year, but pretty certain we started somewhere in the off season roughly at probably like 500 maybe subs, and we're almost to that 1K marker at like 970 something right now. So almost doubled our subs over the course of the year. So that's really encouraging to see. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there maybe have tried YouTube. It might not have been in gaming or something, but in something, it's hard to grow a channel on YouTube. There's a lot of people that start and, get 10 subscribers, and it's difficult to even get 10 subscribers, and then they just, maybe give up on it or just don't want to do it anymore. It's difficult to gain subs on YouTube. So the fact that we maybe doubled and are up close to 1K is pretty awesome to see, and we really appreciate all the support on that. I mean, started the podcast back in like the middle of MW by myself, and I was bored and starting to get more free time at the end of college and really wanted to have an outlet to talk about some COD. And here we are all the way into MW2, the second version of MW 2019. And we're sitting here at almost 1,000 subscribers and looking forward to getting into the final little home stretch here. Brock and I said we weren't going to champs, but Brock, we are headed to champs.
We're going.
You, me, and one of our buddies headed to champs. We originally weren't going to go because it took so long for them to reveal everything, and flights from where we're at all the way to Vegas. Obviously, we can't really drive. We're very far in the United States from Vegas, and flights were like, I'm not even kidding, damn near $1,000. It was like more expensive than like just taking a week-long trip to Germany and taking a flight, because we were talking about going to potentially the Colts game over in Germany. And it was more expensive literally to take a flight to Vegas than it was Germany. Like, it was damn near $1,000. We were like, yeah, it's just too much. And flights plummeted down in price. We were able to get them for a lot cheaper. And then we were like, screw it, we're going. So we're all booked. Brock and I are headed to champs. So that'll be a fun time.
Be a great time. Hopefully see some wild stuff like last time we went to the major last year.
Yeah. And this is your first champs. This is only my second champs. I haven't been to a bunch of. I've only been to Black Ops 4, but this is your first champs, my second one. Hope to make it a tradition that we can go to champs every year, because it's a very fun time. Any tournament you go to is a really fun time, but obviously champs is the big one.
Yep, definitely. It's just different.
Yeah, so that'll be very fun. I was excited to talk about that. I haven't really mentioned it or anything because I know we originally said we weren't going to go, and that was truly the plan. We were never going to go, and then we were able to get everything for a very reasonable price, because my sister is the greatest travel agent of all time. She found insanely cheap flights and, stay accommodations and all that stuff. And, obviously the tickets for the event were one price, but that wasn't anything crazy. It's like $25 a day or something.
Yeah. Shout out your sister.
Shout out for being the best travel agent out there. And yeah, we're headed to champs. Let's get into these bracket predictions, though. We got one single piece of news to talk about before we do that, and it's a little bit of negative news on Activision. It's been all over Twitter today, Monday the 22nd here, if you're listening to this when it was recorded. It's been all over Twitter today. Activision, obviously, like a few days ago, maybe sometime last week, put out a cease and desist for SM2, I believe it was called. It was like a PC game where I don't think it was just like, it's not like the other ones where they just like port COD games over for you to play safely. It's like I think it was going to be like a CSGO type game. I could be completely wrong, but I thought it was something like a CSGO or Valorant where you have to like buy the guns, but it was like that, but for Call of Duty, it had like all Call of Duty guns, and like it was like search and destroy, stuff like that. Basically just like combining all the COD games into one.
Yeah.
They received a cease and desist and had to shut down operations. And then today, I could be getting this one wrong too. I believe it was like XM2 or XM4, something like that, right? Something like that.
I think XM4 sounds right.
That's a gun from Cold War, I remember.
Something around those lines.
But yeah, anyways, it was like a company that I believe kind of like ports the games. I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but they basically like allow you to play older Call of Duties safely. Which is like the whole point of this is I get it, it is Activision, like it is their game. They maybe don't want people ripping it off and getting money from it. But I don't know too much about these because like I don't really play COD on PC. Both of us are pretty new to the PC world. Been on consoles basically like our whole life. But like from my understanding is people still have to buy the game in order to play it for one of those ports. I don't know if it's that one specifically, but I thought that people had to like buy the game in order to still play this. And they like, I don't know exactly how it works. It could be completely wrong. Like I said, pretty ignorant when it comes to that stuff. But they put out a cease and desist. And the biggest BS about this is I get if somebody was just straight up copying your game and ripping it off, like, okay, cool. But their old games aren't playable.
Yeah, literally.
Like our friend told us about it that plays a lot of zombies, Black Ops 3 on PC. I didn't know this because once again, I have Black Ops 3 on PC, but just to play custom zombies with our friends and stuff. And like he said, like, yeah, you literally like can't search in multiplayer because people can like put malware on your computer and like basically hack your PC if you get in a lobby with the wrong person. Yeah. So the only safe way to play Black Ops 3 multiplayer on a PC is through these ports that Activision is now basically getting taken down. It's just Activision greed for you.
Yeah, they don't want you to go play old games unless you want to get hacked on your computer and all that.
Yeah, and it's like it's not worth the risk. Like I just want to casually be able to play a game of some, fringe hardpoint one day if I randomly want to, but no, you can't. And the other thing that people were talking about, by the way, is like if I want to go play Black Ops 2 and go buy it on Steam, it's still $60 for the game and like $50 for the season pass. So I got to spend $110 to get all the maps on Black Ops 2 if I want to buy it brand new. The game came out over 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's egregious.
Like, why do I have to spend $100 on a game that's over 10 years old? Like, I don't understand. They never lower the prices of Call of Duty games unless they are like on sale for a special, like limited time. Whereas, like, obviously, if you could go to the store and buy like a Black Ops 2 disc or like an older Call of Duty disc, it'd be a lot cheaper now at like a GameStop or something. But they don't lower the prices on Steam. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't understand that part really as well.
Yeah, so that's all we have for news, though. We want to focus everything on predictions for this episode. But shout out to Activision for once again somehow screwing over their fan base and not allowing them to just continue this passion project. That's really what it was, a passion project for the community. People that just love Call of Duty and wanted to continue to enjoy the old games that they made for us that were fantastic back when we were kids. They just don't want us to enjoy them anymore because they won't let people port them and make them safe to play, and they won't make them safe themselves. So they're just, I guess, trying to kill their old games, which is very sad to see.
It's like they want to you only play the current and new game.
Yep, exactly. Because you know what you're going to do on their current new game? Buy some microtransactions.
Yeah, most people do.
Yeah, and that's their motivation.
Yep.
Which is, I get it. It's a business. It is their motivation, but it should also be at some point, at least a little bit, satisfying your fans.
You would think.
Yeah, but I guess we can move on from that. Let's talk predictions. It's happy times. It's our final major of the season. Happy and sad, kind of bittersweet because that means we're getting closer and closer to months and months without any CDL action. But let's not think about that now. Let's think about this bracket. I think I could be wrong, but I believe you went first last time. Either way, I'm going to go first this time. I don't even technically know what the points were, but I guarantee you had more in the last major because you ended up picking the correct final. OpTic versus Thieves, and you also picked Thieves to win. I think you might have picked them in 7, but I mean, either way, you still picked the correct team and both correct teams in the finals, which is very hard to do. It's very hard to predict both teams.
I picked in 7.
Especially at that time of year, too, because like OpTic was really looking like the best team, but like going into that event, Thieves were looking very good, but they maybe weren't like clearly a top 2 team.
Yeah.
So like it was maybe a little bit harder to predict. They were looking very good. You could make an argument they were top 2 going into that, but now looking back, it looks pretty impressive that you ended up picking it because it's hard to ever pick a major winner, right? Unless it was like Cold War Faze.
Yeah, it's just tough.
Yeah. So I'll get into mine first. You can obviously offer some thoughts on my picks or like the way I pick them without having to give away too much for your bracket. But yeah, winners round 1 here, as you can see on the screen. If you're on YouTube, if you're on the audio platforms, we'll say who we're picking in each round to keep you guys informed. But OpTic Texas versus Florida Mutineers. This is just kind of a funny matchup because OpTic Texas, I would have to say, you don't have to pick them to win this event, but I think everybody would agree they are the best team in the game coming into this event. They should be the favorites.
Yeah.
Because they very clearly look like our best team in the game. The team that beat them last major, Thieves, is starting in losers. Toronto's up there. They're very good. Faze is obviously always Faze. So there's definitely some contenders up there. But OpTic also with their half of the winners bracket, with Faze, Subliners, and Ultra all being down in the bottom half of winners, OpTic seems to have a decently easy path. This seems to be set up for OpTic to have a free path to top 3, considering they play Florida, and then if they win, they play Breach or Rocker, who are probably easier than the matchup they would have gotten in the bottom.
Yeah.
So I would say everything is setting up for OpTic to have a good chance to run to top 3. And they play Mutineers. Why I said that's so funny and interesting is because everybody knows in the CDL era, Mutineers, for whatever reason, like winners round 1 or whenever, especially last year with Dave Patty, they just seem to have OpTic's number. For a while there in MW, if I'm remembering correctly, they had Huntsman's number as well. The Mutineers team did. And then, going into Vanguard especially, they really had their number. They seemed to beat them a lot on land with Dave Patty. So I think Vickle even joked he's going to sub himself all voluntarily for Dave Patty to come in, which I thought was kind of funny. But
Dave Patty, the boogeyman.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I'm not going to overthink this one. I was going to be like, oh, Florida, the boogeyman, they're going to win 2 maps. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm picking OpTic 3-0. OpTic are clearly the best team in the game coming into this major in Florida. While they do look good and they were competitive against OpTic, we just saw them play them. OpTic 3-0'd. But like I said, Florida was very competitive, so I can see a world where Florida maybe gets a map or 2. But man, would this major completely shake up if OpTic gets upset by Florida once again and our favorites to win the tournament are in losers round 1? That would be crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to think after that if that happened.
Yeah, it would just put your brain back in a spiral. If they lost to Florida, I'd be like, well, the team that we thought was undoubtedly the best just lost to a team that's auto disqualified from champs already.
Yeah,
crazy to see.
Florida wins it. That'd be funny.
It would spiral everything for the weekend out of control, really. Because everybody's been talking about OpTic has a free pass, including I just talked. I didn't say free pass, but an easier path to winners finals. So it would really throw everybody off, I think, if OpTic was not in winners finals, or at least didn't make round 2 in winners.
Yeah.
Then that same top half of the bracket, we've got Breach versus Rocker. This is actually a pretty tough match, I think. Breach looked pretty good in the online portion. They struggled in search and destroy overall. Minnesota also, I don't have a ton of faith in their search, so that's interesting. Breach maybe get a little bit of a fluky win because they played subliners where Kismet was having to run an AR and they subbed in Wardy, which is just a whole weird situation.
Yeah.
But it's a tough one to predict then because Minnesota also has looked horrible online. I mean, the online matches they won this past little major here, or past online stage, were the first ones they had won since like January, I heard, online, which is absurd to think. That's literally 4 months ago. But they looked a lot better this weekend in their few matches. There was an insanely clutch run out of Minnesota to take out Thieves and Ultra. We talked about how it looked really tough for them since they went 1-2, and they're probably going to lose to one of those teams and go to losers. Well, they shut us up. And they got the job done. Made winners, which was huge for them because Vegas and Boston, the teams they're right around, also made winners. I like Minnesota here. I like them to win a game 5. Picking them 3-2. I don't have a ton of faith. I think this is of all the first round matches, this might be our most toss up. Although, going out of the bottom with Vegas fighting for their life, survival instincts kicking in might be interesting. And then subliners, Ultra might be interesting. But I like Minnesota 3-2. I don't trust either of these teams in a game 5 right now. But you know what I'm going to say, Brock? Attach. I like Attach in game 5 more than anybody on Boston.
I would like Attach a lot over people.
I mean, he might be the guy I want most in a game 5 out of almost any player ever.
That is true.
Not even saying he's like individually been great in MW2 or been a great search player, but you know what? Sometimes Even if a guy has a 0.7 on the year in search, there's just some guys you trust. Even like when Simp was having his bad S&D stages in like Cold War and like random games where like Simp would have his 0.8 in S&D online, I'd be like, you know what? When a push comes to shove in a map 5, I trust Simp to get me 10 kills and win me the map.
Yeah.
It's just Simp. He's just a good S&D player, and there's certain players like that. Like it's just attach. He could be dropping a 0.5 all event, but it gets to like winners finals or something. And attach is sitting there in a game 5. It's 4-4. I trust that guy to make some plays and get me a 2-piece or something. And that's why I'm going to go with Rocker at 5 because I trust that guy attach.
Yeah, it's very say the same, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard not to trust him. He's been there and done that a lot of times in the clutch.
Yep.
All right, to the bottom half of the winners bracket, Atlanta Faze versus the Las Vegas Legion. What a tough draw for the Legion, huh?
Man.
You need to win. Obviously, they've got to win. You would think, like bare minimum, depending if like Minnesota gets double first rounded or if Boston, I believe Legion has to get a top 6. Let's say Minnesota got double first rounded. I think a top 6 would get Vegas 3 points or 3 wins, which would be 30. And then I'm thinking of this right, then they would tie Minnesota and they own the tiebreaker against Minnesota because they have a better head-to-head record. So I think Vegas needs to get like at least a top 6 most likely, maybe even better. And with subliners losing to Boston in a potential throw, Vegas has to play Faze instead of subliners, which is very tough for them. And then I believe, if they lose, I think they fall down to Surge. So a very tough draw for Vegas. I want to pick them so bad to win.
That's a tough first, second, even if they lose third.
Yeah.
They want to win. They have to go crazy this weekend.
Yeah, I want to pick them to win so bad because I want them to be in champs. I want to be able to watch Vegas at champs. So I'm rooting so hard for them. I'm going to be honest. I'm rooting for them to beat Faze. I just can't pick it. It's Faze. It's LAN. I'll say something about Phase 2. You and I were watching the game. You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
In that map 4, why am I blanking? Who are they playing? I just completely blanked.
Who was it? Well, I can't think of it either.
If you want to...
Boston.
Yes. Yeah, that's who it was against. It was Hotel.
Yep.
On the map 4, Hotel versus Boston this weekend, final match. Faze is playing Boston. Simp dropped 42. Like 42 and 18 he went on that Hotel, and we were watching it, and it was just he was starting to move, starting to pick up kills, starting to pop 2, snap onto the 3rd, and I said to you after the match, I said, that might change the entire season. That map right there might change the entire season. And it might sound like an overstatement, but sometimes for a player as good as Simp, who is maybe not having, once again, we say not having a great year, he's still top 5 in a lot of stack categories. But if Simp's not number 1, you might think he's not having a good year because that's how good Simp is. It's just that moment where he went 42 and 18 and popped off and was flying, looked like he had a lot of confidence, picked up the slack for Abezy, who wasn't playing his best at the time, and popped off. I was like, that might change the entire outcome of the year. Simp might have just found his confidence and his swagger on the map, and he might start dominating. I think that might change things. I don't know that it matters much for this Vegas match, but I'd keep that in mind for where my head is at this major. I think we might have seen a switch flip.
Yeah, because I haven't really seen Simp do that in a while.
Yeah, and we know Simp, all it takes is one match like that. I believe that could be a catalyst and turning point for this whole season to maybe turn Faze season around and get them a win or 2 to end the year. I'm picking them still, though, in a game 5. I think Vegas is going to come out and really punch hard and fight hard. I actually think that, it's going to go maybe a Faze map 1. I think Vegas will take the search. I think Faze take the control to go up 2-1. And I think Vegas punches them in the mouth and beats them into map 4, shocking them. But Faze clutch up in a game 5. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see Vegas win because I want to see them at champs. But I got Faze 3-2. Then we go to the bottom match in winners round 1 here. Ultra versus subliners. Another tough one. However, I just thought that the whole situation of subliners subbing out Skies for Wardy, it was just very odd. I know they have champs locked up, but it seems weird. And with a win they would have played Vegas, so the loss they play Ultra. Vegas is a good team, but I'd much rather play them than Ultra right now.
Yep.
So I don't know, just a very odd situation for subliners to say the least. And I still like this Ultra team better anyways. I would say in this online split, you could argue they were the second best team behind OpTic. After losing to Minnesota, maybe you put Faze, who went 4-1, ahead of them potentially. But I like Ultra over Subliners in a 3-1 here. I have more faith in the Ultra team than I do Subliners. They're a little bit more consistent, it seems like.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we drop down to losers, where we've got Florida versus LAT. Interesting, because Florida did beat LAT online.
They did.
They did beat them online. However, when we come to LAN, it's just hard not to pick Thieves to win at least one match, right?
Yeah.
Like Florida, I think the motivation at this event might be a little lower. Obviously, they still want to go there. They're still playing for a lot of cash, even if they can't make champs. These guys want to win some cash. Who doesn't? You got a chance to win hundreds of thousands of dollars at a tournament. You're not just going to go there and, just roll over. And they're in winners bracket, so maybe they believe they have a chance to make a little bit of a run. However, they get a very tough draw for beating winners. They got to play OpTic and then Thieves.
Yeah, two, teams that are pretty good.
Especially, Thieves on LAN seems to be a different beast.
Yeah, they're way different.
So I like Thieves to win this. I'm going to pick like a bit of a weird map count, I feel like. I'm going to say it goes map 5.
Okay.
I think Florida keeps it really competitive, and like this could be a catalyst for Thieves to start making a run from here on out. But I just have like a weird feeling Florida's going to keep it really competitive, and it's going to like be a down to the wire map 5 too. I'm thinking like a 6-4 or even a round 11. Like I think this series, maybe the maps won't be close, but I think it is going to go somehow to a game 5, and Florida's going to keep the game 5 really tight. Like you're going to be very nervous down to the end if you're a Thieves fan.
Oh, I like
have
it.
A weird feeling. Then our other match here in the top of the elimination round 1, Boston Breach versus London. Let's go 3-0 Boston. We got to pick the 3-0s at some point. They always happen every weekend, and London seems like a very chalk team. It's hard to predict them winning many maps. Although I don't have a ton of faith in Boston on land because they have struggled, I definitely have enough faith for them to be able to take out London.
Yeah, this guy like more talent, I feel like.
Yeah, and London, it's just like everything has gone wrong for them this year. I feel like everything is just chalked, and vibes are just chalked in that camp. I feel like some of the players, it might be hard to stay locked in. Not saying they're not locked in, but I could see how it'd be pretty hard to stay locked in at this point for them.
Yeah, since they're basically just out playing for money.
Yeah. So let's go down to the final 2 matches of elimination round 1. Vegas versus Surge is the next one. Boy, like I said, a tough draw for Vegas because they do draw Faze winners round 1, and if they do end up losing, they fall to Surge, which Surge maybe doesn't look the best right now, but like, who would you rather fall to? A London, a Gorillas, or a Surge? I'd much rather fall to LAG or London.
Yeah.
Because Surge at some point still do have a great veteran player like Accuracy, who tends to do pretty well on land with his teams, and superstar players like Sim and Pred that are hard to beat no matter what. They're always going to pop off against you. So not the best place to land. However, I like Vegas to win. I think they win in 4. I like Vegas 3-1. I think the only map they drop is the Control. I think they beat Seattle in 2 hard points and a search. To me, Vegas has such an advantage in the search. And this one, I like them pretty easily over Surge and S&D. It's a matter of if they can take a respawn. And I think Vegas' hard point's been pretty good. And Surge have struggled with the slaying. Mac's been super inconsistent. I like Vegas to take it in 4, maybe because my bias really wants them to make champs. But we're in danger of Seattle not making champs if they end up losing this match.
That is very true. That does happen.
So I'm picking Vegas maybe partly with my heart, but I do think right now Vegas are a better team than Surge with Surge's struggles.
Yep.
Then we got Subliners versus Gorillas. Let's say it's another 3-0. We got to have them happen somewhere. LAG is probably just chalked, done for the year. Can't do anything past this event. Only thing they have left on the year is to try to win a little cash this weekend. But I like Subliners to beat them 3-0, which we'll do one more round of winners here before we move on back to the top of the bracket, or of losers, sorry. We got some gauntlets here in elimination round 2, Brock.
There's some good teams.
So Thieves versus Breach and Vegas versus New York are 2 pretty good matchups for elimination round 2 here. Like teams that you wouldn't expect to be down to losers this early. Some people wouldn't have expected Thieves to be in losers at all to start this major. I bet you a lot of people will pick Boston over Minnesota. So a lot of people listening probably don't have Boston down here. I can see that. I bet you even some people pick Subliners and Legion. Like there's a lot of toss-ups up there in the winners bracket.
Yeah.
In the Thieves versus Boston match, I like Thieves to continue their run, and Boston is in danger for champs after only winning one match this weekend. Boston's on a little bit of high alert in case Vegas and Rocker both make a run. I like Thieves to win this one 3-1. I think they drop either the Search or the Control to Boston. I think they drop one of those two. I think they win both hard points. And I like Thieves to continue their major run to a top 6. Despite the struggles online, it is Thieves as much as maybe we shouldn't trust them because they look so bad online. It's Thieves online. It's hard to bet against until we see them really flop out.
I agree.
All right. Then we got Legion versus Subliners. I like the Legion to continue their run. I think they beat New York in a map 5.
Ooh.
I like them to knock out New York top 8. The Wardy thing is just weird to me. I like to see them get more reps against a really good team like Toronto. Although, once again, they're getting reps every day in scrims. It could be blown out of proportion. I don't really think it's that big of a deal, but once again, maybe pick it with my heart a little bit and want Legion to move on. But I do think there's a realistic chance they could take out Subliners. They beat them online this stage, I believe. And Vegas looks like a really good team right now. And, Subliners are a team that all year has been inconsistent.
Yeah, they're so up and down.
So I'm picking Vegas to move on. Then we go into the top half of the bracket. Got OpTic versus Minnesota. Interesting match here again because they have some history. They line up for accuracy. That happened between these two teams. Attach has a lot of history with OpTic. He tends to, I don't know what his record is technically, I guess, all time versus OpTic on land, but Attach seems to have OpTic's numbers in some ways. Most famously, obviously, running through the artillery in World War II.
Yeah.
And shooting 3 guys and winning that 1v1 at the end versus Crim there on London docks and winning that event eventually against OpTic in 2 best-of-5s in the final there. So Attach has OpTic's number at some points. Minnesota has had some crazy matches where they beat OpTic. However, I still like OpTic to win this one. I think OpTic wins it in another 3-0 fashion. I think they make it to winners finals without dropping a map. I like them to beat Minnesota 3-0.
Okay.
Our other winners round 2 matchup is Faze versus Ultra. Interesting matchup here. Until what was that, last major or 2 majors ago? I can't remember. Faze basically couldn't beat, Ultra couldn't beat Faze. On land, online, really anything. They hadn't beat him in quite some time, and then they took him out. I believe that was actually major 3, if I'm thinking of it right. The one that Toronto won.
I think so, yeah.
But they took out Faze for the first time. I think it was something like an 0-10 streak for them against Faze. They hadn't beat them in a very long time, despite it seeming like matches were close. Clearly, they weren't if Faze was winning every time. I like Faze to win this, though. I'm telling you, I saw something out of Simp that I really liked. And as much as people want to say Ultra is, maybe the second best team in the game right now, are you really ever gonna, criticize somebody for picking Faze in a match ever?
No, not usually.
No, it's hard to do. I do think this is gonna go to an intense map 5 though, and I like my boy that I just talked about, Simp, to have a big map 5 to propel Faze to winners final. Then we drop down into elimination round 3, where we get Ultra versus Thieves. I think Thieves' run comes to a close here with Ultra. Actually, you know what? As I said it, I was like, wait, I don't like what's coming out of my mouth right now. I'm really torn on this one. Let's go to the bottom. Let's give my brain time to think about it. Let's go to the bottom first. Rocker versus Legion. Matchup we all want to see, right?
Yeah.
In this case, though, they would be 10 more points ahead. I don't know how the math would work out because I can't remember exactly what the point standings are at. You want to pull up the point standings quick on the side?
Yeah. So Legion are at 160, Rocker at 180 right now.
What's Boston at? They're at 200?
Boston and Seattle are both at 190.
Okay. So Boston at 190. For some reason I thought Boston was at 200, but if they're at 190, then and Minnesota's at 180, you said, right?
Yep.
So at this point, with Minnesota being in top 6, I believe that gives them 30. So then they were at 180, you said? And Boston would have gotten to 200. So yeah, Minnesota would have already jumped Boston at this point. So Minnesota would be in champs if they got top 6 and Boston was already eliminated. And Rocker or Legion would have 30. They'd be at 190. So they would still technically be out.
Yeah.
If the bracket plays out the way I have it. So that would mean that Legion would need to win to have a chance to jump Boston, and Rocker would be clinched already. So that's interesting. Although, depending on if Boston had won above, this could, be a match to get both of them eliminated. So this is a match we all want to see. We all want to see Vegas and Minnesota, match up at some point and maybe have a chance to eliminate each other. Would be very intense. I like the Legion to finally make a Sunday. Bold prediction. I like the Legion to take out Minnesota in a map 5. Their search and destroy prowess comes through. I think Legion win maps 1 and 2. Minnesota fires back to force a game 5 with 2 straight wins, and then Legion closes them out.
I like it.
In the 3-2 fashion. Then in the other one, I can't decide, but I'm going to stick with Ultra. They have been the better team online. I'm going to bet on that. I'm going to say Thieves bow at top 6, although I hate doing it because I definitely think Thieves could win. I feel weird picking them to lose, even though they went 1 and 4. I'm just going to go off the fact that I think Ultra's looked really good recently, and Thieves this last few weeks has looked really poor. Although I don't feel confident in it at all. I'm going to pick Ultra to beat them in a map 5 just because I'm not confident. I'm going to say it's 3-2.
Yep.
Then let's pick this elimination round 4 quick before we go to winners finals. We get Ultra versus Legion. Legion's first match on a Sunday this entire season. And really in this new format era, I don't think they've made a Sunday since MW when they played in a home series final once. They played Toronto. I think they run out of gas finally, though. I think they fall 3-1. I think they take the map 2 and lose all the respawns to Ultra. I just cannot see a world where they could beat Ultra in a control with how good Ultra is at that game mode. And Hardpoint, they could steal some, but I don't know. They did beat them already once this year with Standy, but I like Toronto to finally end Vegas's run at top 4, but that should be enough for Vegas to make champs, hopefully. And I like Ultra to take them out 3-1.
That'd be Vegas' first Sunday, right?
Yeah, their first Sunday since MW, when it's a little bit different, but in the home series, they made it to a final once.
That's right, yeah, the 5
with like Luka, Shocks, and those guys. Kismet, I believe, might have been on that team too.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So then we get a classic winners finals matchup. I've seen this matchup 800 times in Call of Duty history. It's OpTic versus Faze. Hard to pick anybody else here but OpTic, in my opinion, just because of it's kind of gotten to the point where when these two teams play, you almost have to pick OpTic until you see them lose because they have just owned Faze in all the recent matchups. However, OpTic haven't dropped a map to this point. I think this one finally gets close. I think it goes to a map 5, but I like OpTic to ice up like 6-3 in map 5 over Faze. It's hard to pick Faze when OpTic's had their number so much. So that leads us down to our elimination finals, where we have Faze versus Ultra. That is a rematch, right? Yeah, of my winners round 2, where I pick Faze to win in 5. I like Faze to close it out this time in 4. I think they beat Ultra to send themselves to a rematch in the final versus OpTic, where I like OpTic to close it out in 7. The reason I say 7 instead of 6 is every major has closed out in 6. I want to change that trend. I finally want to see a map 7. I'm trying to speak it into existence. And also, I like Faze and Control over OpTic, although neither of them are that great. I think Faze is going to be able to close out a map 6. I think Faze is going to be down 3-2. And whatever way it happens, I think Faze will be down 3-2. And then I think Faze will clutch up in a map 6 to force a map 7, where OpTic beats them 6-4 to win the tournament in a map 7. And OpTic is our champions. I feel like it's going to be a lot of people's pick because A, there's a lot of OpTic fans, and B, they look like the undisputed best team in the game in this last online split. So I think they're going to be a popular pick like they always are, but I like OpTic to beat Faze 4-3.
That's very, very doable.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that could happen. Looking forward, I hope the tournament plays out the way I predicted it because there's a lot of intense matches, You get Rocker versus Legion. I hope Legion makes top 4 because that means they're probably in champs. But yeah, I think that could be a possible result. I'll probably get it completely wrong. Like I've been really bad at majors this year, but I'm gonna go ahead and erase my bracket quick so I can fill yours out here on our OBS recording and get it on the video, so get you all prepared to go. But I'm gonna get this bracket cleared out, so you can make your predictions that will probably end up being more correct than mine if history goes to show from our last major.
I mean, you got lucky last major.
Hey, I mean, you got the winner right. That's a hard thing to do. It's tough to predict the winners of these majors because they're very fluky sometimes. You think you know what teams are best, and it just never ends up working that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Got everything cleared out for you and ready to go. So we can start up at the top. Winners round 1 with
All right.
OpTic in Florida.
OpTic and Florida. I'm picking OpTic 3-0 because Florida does not have Dave Patty for this.
I was gonna say, if this was OpTic, maybe not looking as hot as they do, and they had Dave Patty, I could see you just trolling and picking Florida to win.
I won't go that too egregious on that. All right. No sound EQ for Boston versus Minnesota. I'm gonna pick not Boston. I'm picking Minnesota 3-1.
Okay,
Boston.
I like it. Going same as me for those top 2 matches in terms of teams you picked.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Faze versus Legion. I am picking the Legion in 5 with the Neslo and round 11 to keep their have a better chance of making champs. So we'll say that over Faze.
All right. So Faze versus Legion. What was the Ronco you said in that?
3-2, game 5.
Okay. Sad.
Legion.
I know you probably in your heart want Legion to win that.
I've Legion 3-2, not Faze.
I misheard you. I thought you said Faze 3-2. My bad. So you did pick maybe with your heart a little bit there.
Yeah.
I like it. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope you're right for the sake that I really want Legion at champs when we're there. I want to root for them a little bit. So I hope you're right. I misheard you. I'm glad you picked that way because I hope you're speaking it into existence.
Yeah. I'm trying to, at least.
Yeah. I think it's certainly a possibility, though. They look good.
Yeah, they do. All right. Toronto versus Subliners. I swear they play every major. Like, I swear every winners
You're not wrong.
Or losers. Doesn't matter. I swear they play every time. It's like
not wrong.
And it's like,
even if they haven't, it feels like they do.
I know. Oh, man. I'm picking Toronto 3-2. Game 5. I sub over Subliners.
Okay. Toronto 3-2. I'm not surprised. You're kind of the resident New York hater in a way. What one of our friends like to say, you just always talk about how you hate watching them play for whatever reason.
I know. So even at the start of the season, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Drop down to losers.
All right.
Do the top first.
All right. Thieves, Mutineers. We're picking the 3-1 Thieves.
All right. 3-1 Thieves.
Last time Florida won 3-1. This time Thieves are gonna 3-1 right back at them.
That'd be an upset if Florida ends up taking this one, though. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really have any question Thieves as we head into champs?
Yeah, it would be. All right, Boston versus the depleted Royal Ravens. Boston has more talent, so I'm gonna pick them 3-1. I'll give Asim the 1.
You're giving Ravens the 1 map as we close the door on their MW2 chapter.
Yep.
All right, I like it. Then we get to Faze versus Seattle. Wow, what a matchup there. The matchup we always love to watch.
Matchup, yes. I will be picking another game 5, but this time Faze is gonna clutch it out in like a 6-2 surge.
Okay.
Surge.
I was gonna say, well, that would be bold if you predicted Faze to take out a last place.
I'd be a lot more confident. I feel like with Surge, if they're playing a lot better, and I feel like they're just chalked now since last major, and Max is playing real, very inconsistent, like you said.
Yeah, it's tough out there, but it's not an ideal matchup for Faze to see in losers round 1 if they do end up losing. Not an ideal matchup for them.
Because who knows, Shaq Cub could literally just drop 1.8 and win.
Yeah, and Surge. Like we always say, they tend to play Faze tight, and they tend to, force a lot of game 5 round 11s.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Subliners versus Gorillas. The sad Gorillas. The sad whole year. 3-0 Subliners. We'll see Gorillas later.
And with that, Brock, it's almost like we need to like say we need a moment of silence for your MW2 end to repeatedly picking gorillas for every match. It's over. You
Yeah.
can no longer pick gorillas. You've picked them for your last time.
I just thought, if I keep picking them, they would just, get the memo.
Yeah, I wish we could do like a completely unserious like troll bracket. Like we should have done that as a joke. Like we should have had you plan to have like Toronto lose or something, and then have you pick gorillas to upset Toronto, then upset Faze. And then like people would have probably instantly clicked off the video and been like, "This dude doesn't know what he's talking about." And then it happened or something, and you'd be the biggest genius on the planet.
That'd be so funny.
If that happens, like imagine a world where that happens, where Toronto ends up losing to Subliners, or even if Subliners lose, Gorillas beats one of them and then takes out Faze. Could you imagine that last run?
The Gorillas run that someone would determine.
It'd be somewhat similar to that Surge run in Cold War in the last major, where they like literally couldn't win a match all year, and then they like went on the run and they knocked out Faze top 8, and that standoff S&D classic went crazy.
Man, I don't think it's gonna happen though, unfortunately.
No, I don't think it's gonna happen either. But pick
Right,
Subliners 3-0, yeah.
Gorillas out of there. I'm pretty sure I also picked Gorillas at the start, like the 5th overall in standings.
Yeah, you picked them to be pretty high. You were talking about Arcitys as a dark horse MVP candidate. It was a rough year for your Gorillas predictions. It's time for you to close that chapter and forget about it, I think.
Yeah. True.
Let's move on. Actually, now that we think about it, probably your last time you'll never pick Gorillas again.
Yeah,
probably
you're not
done
wrong.
for CDL.
I will never pick them.
Let's do your elimination round 2 now, though. You got some interesting matchups here with Thieves Breach and Faze Subliners.
All right, let me go. I'll go Thieves Breach. It's gonna be a close matchup for whatever reason, but the Thieves are gonna pull out 3-2 game 5.
Okay.
And, have a little bit more momentum going into next rounds.
I like it. We're both picking Thieves to move on to that top 6. Then you've got different matchup than I had here, obviously, with Faze down in the losers, but Faze Subliners. Ooh.
Faze, they might have lost, but they beat Surge. Now they're rolling. They're rolling. 3-1 Subliners. I just feel like Faze has more talent and better players when it comes to clutching.
Wait, you mean 3-1 Faze, right? I think you said 3-1 Subliners.
Oh yeah, 3-1 Faze.
I was about to say, with your relationship with Subliners, I would have been shocked if you.
I like Priesta.
Yeah, like you said about Faze making a little losers run. I believe I was listening to the Flank today from like the weekend when they did their initial reactions. I think Hecz said he was predicting Legion to beat Faze in round 1, and then he predicted like Faze to go through the entire losers bracket without dropping a map, and then playing OpTic in the finals and beating him 4-2. He had him like making a losers round 1 to winning against OpTic in the finals.
Really?
Damn. And he said he didn't think they were going to lose a map all of losers until finals when they lost 2 to OpTic.
Holy.
Yeah, so if that happens, that'd be a crazy prediction too. But I mean, if somebody's going to do it, wouldn't shock me if it was Faze.
Yep.
All right, let's head back up to your winners bracket.
Winners round 2, OpTic and Roquar, or Rocker, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be picking OpTic in the game 5, though. Close match for the Rocker, but they just don't pull it out against the green wall.
Yeah, you thinking Attach is going to make this thing closer than everybody thinks? I
feel like he is. Some about Attach, I don't want to bet against him ever.
And, even if this team's struggling, Cammy, Attach, even Fame with how he looks recently, Bance, these are, especially like your Attach and your Bance, these are veteran players that always seem to make things close.
They know what time it is.
Although I did pick him 3-0, I don't mind the 3-2 prediction at all.
Yeah, I think it's either like a 3-0, like close maps, or like 3-2. And that.
I agree. I don't see 3-1 happening.
Yeah.
All right, then you got Legion Ultra.
Oh, man. Vegas versus Ultra. Standy versus Scrappy. I'm going to pick a game 5. Another one. I'm picking a lot of them.
Yeah.
Game 5, Toronto takes it, clutches up, and Vegas are now, shaking their head. Now they gotta go crazy in the elimination rounds, loser bracket.
Gotta win probably at least one match down there. I don't mind it. I like Ultra. They obviously look like one of our best teams heading into this major, and I think there's like a PTSD factor with like the Legion and all CDL fans that have been CDL watchers since MW, since the inception. I feel like there's like a PTSD in our mind because like I was thinking in my head you were gonna pick Legion, to be honest, and like I was like, it's just like something about picking Legion to go to a winners finals is like a negative reaction like flows across my body. I'm like, it just like it seems so wrong, but like Legion right now are a good team. Like picking them to beat Ultra, picking them to beat Faze and Ultra, as crazy as that sounds, isn't like the most wild thing because they're a very good team right now. But like your brain doesn't let you believe that because of their history.
Yeah.
So
definitely
that's
a top team right now.
Yeah. But that creates an interesting situation down in losers here where you've got Minnesota and Vegas both down there, but in opposite sides. So it becomes crucial matches for both of them if you want to get into your elimination round 3.
Would they be the same points right now? No, they'd be down.
No, Legion would be down because they're down 20. So Legion would still be down 20.
All right, I see. And the Vegas versus Thieves. This is where the story book ending for Vegas ends. Thieves are gonna win 3-1. I only say this because remember how Thieves lost to Vegas earlier in the season off the incredible hardpoint comeback.
Yep.
They're getting them back, taking them out, and unfortunately will not be a champs.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they lose, that means. So now I hope your bracket actually is wrong. Now you ended up picking Vegas to win right away, but now I'm hoping you're wrong because we both want to see Vegas at champs at home.
Yeah,
I think both of us want to see them there. So I hope you're wrong now. But you got Thieves 3-1. They make a run to top 4. They go from losers round 1 to Sunday. I like the pick. I wouldn't be shocked if that happens at all.
Yep. All right, elimination round 3. Rocker versus Faze. Another close match. Another close one. But Faze are going to pull it out in a game 5 from Simp.
Faze game 5. I like it. So then if everything plays out the way that we have it, that would mean that Rocker hang on. I don't know because they're 10 points behind? 10 or 20 points behind Breach going in. So I don't remember if they'd be 7 or 8. Doesn't really matter. That means that in this situation, though, that does mean that if Vegas technically in your scenario here, I believe would gain 20, or if they gain 30, they would tie Seattle. I don't know how the tiebreaker works there. Technically, Vegas might not be eliminated in this scenario if they do get 30. I don't know if they get 30 for getting top 6 or 20, but I think it might be 20.
I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they get 20 or 30. I believe it's only 20 actually. So we'd have to check on the point standing, but it would end up being close. But I believe Surge would survive in this scenario now.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your elimination round 4. Chance to go top 3. You've got a rematch of one of our finals from earlier this year, where Faze took it. A kind of a beef here, a rivalry here between Thieves and Faze.
It is very much of a rivalry. This is where Thieves ends their poor stage. Do pretty decent at the major. Game 5, Faze 3-2.
Okay. It'd be some good momentum for Thieves, though, if they're able to make a top 4 run.
Yeah. That was more confidence for champs then. A lot more confidence.
Yeah. I like it. All right, that moves you up to your winners finals.
Winners final, Toronto versus OpTic. This is kind of a tough match.
Very tough to predict.
Two basically the top teams right now.
Yep. Or probably a lot of people would say 1 and 2 maybe going into this major.
Yeah. So I'm gonna guess close. 3-2. OpTic ices up. Game 5. Whatever map they play. From boy shots, you gonna go crazy. Game 5. I know that.
You think so?
I think so.
You're making plays. All right. I like it. I think it's definitely a possibility. I don't believe I had these teams matching up at all in my bracket. Because I think I had Faze taking out Ultra, then I had Faze taking out Ultra again and loser. So I didn't have these two teams playing, but it'd be interesting to see because obviously Ultra did beat them in the finals.
Yeah.
at Major 3. So yeah, that'd be an interesting matchup, but it definitely could go either way. You're not wrong about that.
All right, now to the elimination finals. Faze versus Ultra.
Yeah, tough one.
Yeah, it is. But this is where Toronto loses to OpTic, and they're gonna lose to Faze 3-1.
Okay.
Win the control, but that's about it.
Okay, so you got Faze 3-1. So in completely, in a little bit different ways. Like I had Faze losing winners finals and then clutching up in losers finals and making finals. You had Faze going all the way from losers round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Completing the run to get to the finals. So we end up with the same finals. I feel like it's always like your default pick. If you never know what to pick, it's like, you know what, OpTic versus Faze. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
But you end up with OpTic and Faze, and what do you think happens here in the grand finals?
This is where I'm stuck on. Man. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna predict the opposite of you. 4-3. Faze wins this, but it just sets it up for OpTic to win champs.
OpTic is a third straight second place. That would be crazy. Faze wins their second major. I mean, Faze at that point would be looking to really establish themselves as the clear-cut best team in MW2 if they're able to close the second major and close champs, winning 3 events. Whew, that'd be a year.
Scrappy might get the rookie of the year, but Dan Goats is getting that ring.
In this situation, that'd be crazy. Second, and then he closes out with the champs ring. That'd be a heck of a year. Even if he only ends up winning the one event, if I'm gonna win one event a year, I'll let it be champs.
Yeah, I'm just going off the fact that Scump's supposed to be here winning champs, but he's not here anymore. But they're still gonna win champs.
And you know what? I think you agreed with me when we saw it happen. There was something about that hotel hardpoint against Boston that Simp popped off that something might have flipped on that Faze team when that happened. And you have them making, like, if this happens, this would be a historic tournament because it'd be Faze making a losers 1. And you know what else it would be? It'd be Slasher doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Be Slasher doing it again, making a run. I mean, he did it. Losers 1 with Rise, I believe, in World War II. They did it in Seattle when they beat EG, Hecz team, in 2 best of 5s. He obviously did it at the event that we were at. Major 2 with LAG, loses round 1 all the way to winning. And this would be another event where Slasher went losers round 1 to winning it all. That would be crazy if that happens.
You're not wrong. Jeez. I'm just thinking about that.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insane. But, if there's one guy you trust in losers, Slasher, he called himself self-proclaimed king of the losers bracket.
He did say that.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to scroll over. So, actually, let's both say MVPs for the tournament. Who you think's going to win MVP? Obviously, for you, even if maybe somebody went crazy. Let's say somebody from your winning team. So, somebody from Faze who you think's going to win MVP of the tournament from the Faze boys.
If Faze end up doing win it, it's going to be on the back of Simp.
Think so?
I think so.
I think a lot of people are saying like Abezy's a lock for the regular season MVP. So yeah, Simp would have a pop off moment. You think?
I think so. He shows why he's Simp.
I agree. In my situation, if Faze ends up winning, I have them going all the way to finals and taking second. If they end up winning, I think it'd be an MVP for Simp. For OpTic, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say a lot of people are maybe going to say Shotzzy because of how impactful he is. Maybe a lot of people say Ghosty because of he's been playing pretty well lately, and he's such an influential part of their team since he joined. Maybe a lot of people say Hook because a lot of people might think he's the best player on their team. I'm going with Dashy. I think Dashy wins another MVP. I think he's going to put up some big-time stats, especially if he gets to play Faze twice. We know he likes that. I think Dashy's going to have like a 1.2 this event. I think he's going to go crazy. He's going to have one of those signature Dashy just frying events. I think he's going to have a really good, just really good overall respawn event. Yeah. Drop a clean 1.2, and I think he takes home the MVP.
I like it. Some say he's the hardest to kill on the map.
Yeah, Donnie Temp. I heard him say it on Nameless podcast, the Codcast. Yeah, I think Dashy wins MVP. Although, like, once again, with us picking both, like, if you were to pick Ultra, it's a little bit easier to say, Scrappy's going to win MVP because he's usually the guy that puts up the big stats, which, whether he ends up being, like, their most impactful player in the weekend when, the MVP gets voted on, if you have Scrappy dropping his 1.3, he's probably going to get the MVP when he's dropping his 1.3. But, like, Faze and OpTic are hard teams to predict because, like, I can see a world where Ghosty might be a little harder just because his stats usually aren't going to be, like, as crazy as, like, a Shotzzy or a Hook or a Dashy. He's more doing like a little bit of a dirty work. Maybe his actual physical stats don't look the best, so maybe you don't pick any of him. But like same thing with Faze, probably not Slasher because his stats are probably not going to look insane. But like you're not going to be shocked if Simp, Abezy, or Cellium win it. I mean, those three are about to all probably have individual regular season MVPs.
Oh, back to back to back, right? If that does happen. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because Shotzi is the only other guy that didn't. No, that wasn't on Faze that won MVP, and that was MW. Yeah, because Simp was Cold War, Cellium was last year, and then if Abezy wins regular season, it'd be 3 straight Faze members.
That'd be just crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's absurd. Insane to think about. But yeah, it's not easy to predict an MVP when we're picking Faze and OpTic to win because of how many superstars they have.
Mm-hmm.
You never know which one's going to pop.
Yep.
How about let's say excluding Thieves, of all your teams down here that are in losers bracket, so Florida, Boston, Ravens. For you, I'm going to exclude Faze also because you obviously have them make it run all the way. So let's say 6 teams: Florida, Boston, Ravens, Surge, Subliners, LAG. Who do you think could make a run that team could make a run to top 3? Obviously excluding Thieves and Faze because we want to exclude Thieves because they're Thieves, and Faze because you have them winning the whole thing. So want to obviously exclude them. You clearly think that they can make a run.
So I don't think London or Boston really, or Gorillas. I think Surge. It had to be Surge.
Okay. Interesting. I think it's interesting you don't think Boston. I actually kind of agree with you. I don't really see them making like a crazy deep losers run. I think if Boston makes a run, it'd actually be through winners. I think they take out Minnesota. And then because they've played OpTic very tough, I actually think there's a world where Boston could make it to winners finals. Because like we said, with the pace they play at and how fast they play, they're like the one team that seems to always give OpTic closer maps and trouble. Yeah. Even OpTic has said that. Boston's like the only team that plays at their pace. So actually, I think if Boston makes a run at this tournament, it's through winners, as weird as that sounds.
Only from winners, though, right?
Yeah, I don't think that they'll make a run through losers. Like, I just can't see a world where they beat Thieves, which is who I think they'll play. And even if they beat Thieves, then they would be playing either Ultra or Legion, most likely, or even Faze in that elimination round 3. And I just don't see a world where Boston can make it past top 6 through losers round 1. But like, I think it's realistic that they could beat Minnesota, winners round 1. And then also beat OpTic. As weird as that sounds, they're not better than OpTic. OpTic's the better team. But like OpTic has said, they're the only team that matches their pace, and things get a little mixy. It's LAN, maybe something happens. Boston's already beat them once on LAN. I could see a world where Boston can make a run through winners, but not through losers. As weird as that sounds,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
For me, obviously, I'm not gonna. Even though, like, I have Legion dropping down, I'm not gonna say Legion because I already had them going top 4, so it's kind of like dumb to say like, oh, I think they can make top 3. I'm gonna say my team. I don't want to say Surge, although I do believe that they could make a run since you said it. I'm going to say my team that I could see making a run, obviously excluding Thieves as well. It's going to be Subliners. I think there's a world where Subliners make a run. I think they're the big matchup for them, though. It's going to be that elimination round 2 where you have them playing Faze. I have it being Ultra and Faze and Ultra dropping down there. I think that's the point. And it's elimination round 2. I think if they're able to win that, I think Subliners can make a run to top 3. I think they'll beat Gorillas and losers round 1. And then for me, I have them playing Faze. I have them playing Ultra. You have them playing Faze. If they can get past that Ultra/Faze match, I think then they get like Rocker or Boston, and then they get whoever's from the top, maybe Thieves. I think it becomes a lot more realistic. But that elimination round 2 is going to be very tough because it's going to be Faze or Ultra.
Yeah, have that momentum.
So, I think they can make the run. In terms of teams that are starting and losers, it's obviously got to be Thieves or Surge because I'm not picking LAG or London.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about for the tournament? I was going to say, your Dark Horse MVP, but that would also, require you picking, a different team to potentially win.
Yeah.
I don't really know if that's hard because then you obviously, like I said, you got to pick, a random team to win. I don't know. I was gonna say Subliners when I could see a Dark Horse being a Hydra, but I just don't think Subliners are gonna win. So that's a tough question because you've got to imagine a world where a different team wins.
Yeah.
But I think honestly overall, I'm pretty good if we want to wrap this thing up. Got our predictions in. We'll see I'll have to go back and remake my bracket since I eliminated mine to make yours. So I'll have to go back, remake my bracket, and we'll have to see who gets more points. You obviously crushed me last time for the bracket prediction points because of getting the winner right. So let's see if you can go back to back.
I'll definitely try. That's for sure.
Also, I did predict in the beginning of the year the same thing as I predicted last year, where I picked 5 different teams will win the 5 majors.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, if OpTic wins, who else is in our winners? If Rocker win, if Breach win, Florida win, Legion win, that'd be it for the teams and winners though, because in that bottom half, Ultra, Subliners, and Faze have all won.
Yeah.
But like if OpTic wins, who are the favorite, that means I'd get that back-to-back years. I kind of just predicted it this year just to keep the streak alive. It will never be as good as when I predicted it in Vanguard.
Still, it'd be pretty impressive though.
It would also be weird just for like my prediction aside. Having back-to-back years where 5 different teams won majors. Obviously, Cold War Phase won damn near all of them.
Yeah.
3 of the 5, but it kind of goes to show what kind of games we're playing the last couple of years. If 5 different teams win the majors this year and 4 different teams win the 4 majors last year, it kind of goes to show, potentially what kind of game we're playing. It's a lot of inconsistency.
Definitely inconsistency. You're right.
But let's be honest, for the spectator point of view, it's kind of fun when a different team wins every major just for us because it makes things wild.
It's not very fun unless you're a fan of that team and they just keep always winning.
Like I'd say I had a lot. Cold War, best game of the last 3 competitively, but I'd say I had like a lot of fun these past 2 years with it being like so unpredictable, where like you go from Ultra winning an event to being losers round 1, to Thieves winning an event to looking like they can barely win a match now.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. It's fun, but yeah, I got nothing else. If you're ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right. So that's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed on YouTube, be sure to leave a like. Be sure to drop that sub. Help us get to that 1,000 goal before the end of the season, like we've been saying for a while. And most importantly, drop that comment down below. We want to see who you guys have winning. If you want to drop your whole bracket down in the comments, we'll read that. Drop who you think's going to win, who's going to win MVP, what's going to be our champs field, what 8 teams you got making it. We got a lot on the line. You could have any combination of Surge, Breach, Vegas, Rocker all making it. I'll be interested to see what you guys think there. So if you're on the audio platforms, drop that follow, drop that 5-star review. We appreciate your support as always as we wrap up another regular season here of the podcast. Can't say it enough. We appreciate your support as always. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys all enjoy the major this weekend. Peace out.